Classic Dimensions. This is Hudson and Brand, episode, I think it's like the 16th session or something like that. We will be introducing the new investigation, which is obviously in the title of this video, by the end of this session. Beforehand, though, we still have a little more bookkeeping to take care of. So we're going to start with you, Joe, because Wilhelm had suffered a pretty severe mental break at the end of the last investigation, which was called the Burnt Man, right, down in Dartmoor. And that would have taken place right around the end of December, right? It was December 21st, the day when all the shit really hit the fan. So you would have been pretty hastily returned to London, I would presume, to seek care. Now, the question for you is, I guess, first of all, what is Wilhelm's credit rating currently?
Wilhelm's credit rating is 59.
59. Okay, he's wealthy, I believe that qualifies as.
Yes, somewhat.
Let me just double check here on my little bit about, it's here in the pin post, isn't it?
He was wealthy before, and then the whole, the colonel, saving the colonel's family bumped him up a little bit more. His books, I wrote it as his books sold better, because he is an author too, and his books sold better when it came out. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Right. Yeah, here we go. Here's income, social class, credit rating, and assets. Yeah, so he's wealthy. 50 to 89 is wealthy. So very good. And I believe 65 plus is usually like kind of in wealthy to the point of like nobility, essentially. If you're not one of the lords, you're as rich and powerful as lords if you're above 65 or 65 or higher, which I think Oscar was at. We'll get to Oscar in a bit. Take care of you first, Wilhelm. So you can afford private care, right? Now I'll go over this a little bit. There's a little bit of mechanics, but it's good for people to know. Also, anybody who, maybe running a game have to deal with treatment and recovery from insanity themselves.
It was pretty fascinating how this works. I really like that. At first, I was like, "This just doesn't seem right," but it worked out really awesome.
So you are in a state of indefinite insanity at this point, Joe. Or sorry, not Joe. Joe's permanently insane. I mean,
yes.
Wilhelm is in a state of indefinite insanity. So after each month of treatment for an indefinitely insane character, we're going to make some dice. We'll make some dice rolls to see if what kind of recovery he gets during that month. Now, the two types of care you can pursue are private care, which you're wealthy enough to do. I believe it says the best care is at home or in some friendly place where nursing can be tender, considerate, where there are no distractions such as other patients. Analysis and/or psychiatric medications may be available. The other form of care, if you're not wealthy enough to afford private care, is institutionalization, which is where actually Miss Morrow is currently. She has been, what's the word I'm looking for here? She has been taken into Bethlehem Royal Hospital, which is the hospital for the insane, criminally insane, not just criminally insane, no, just hospital for crazy people, anyway, in London. So that insane asylums, of course, they have the advantage over home care in that they're relatively cheap or even free service provided by the state. They are of uneven quality and maybe potentially harmful. Some are creative places of experimental and advanced therapy, while others merely offer rude confinement. So it's your choice, Joe. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer a nice little stay at Bedlam, or would you prefer private care at your home?
Why would he need care? He's not crazy.
Institutionalization it is then.
Okay, no. I would assume if we're not going to role play it out, that the NPC that I had in mind would punch him in the face and said, "You're not doing this, and you're going to get some help, and you're not going to embarrass your family." So it would be kept very private.
Who would that have been?
Benjamin Hardcastle.
Okay.
My backup character. But what Zorn would have done was, because he had a mania that his son was in danger and he must protect his son. Of course, his son is it's illegitimate. His mother is married to a wealthy House of Lords member, and if Zorn has made a deal with her brother Benjamin Hardcastle that he would not interfere with them until the child comes of age and he can tell them the truth. And
Benjamin Hardcastle is her
brother, right? And he's a ex-military big guy, just not very nice guy, and so it works out that way. And so what would happen is Zorn would have came back and went, I don't care what I said, my son's in danger, and he may have and Hardcastle would have said, well, you made a deal, I don't care. And then Hardcastle would punch him in the face, beat him up, and say, you either get some help or you can keep getting beat up.
Right.
So Wilhelm would probably submit to some sort of home care, but his family would not really go with him being institutionalized since he is Prussian and they don't show weakness.
And it could, like you said, it could definitely bring some dishonor down on the family, or at least some what's the word I would say? Some shame.
Right. That's being Prussian, they don't go for that. That's not how they play.
Sure. So your wife, who's married to this member of the House of Lords.
No, girlfriend.
Sorry, your ex-wife.
No, not even.
No, you were never married.
They were. It was a tryst in
bastard
Egypt.
Son.
Right. It was a tryst in Egypt when he was coming back, and
That's very interesting. Okay, and is she English or is she also?
Yeah, she's very English. That's why Zorn is in the UK and not Prussia.
I know you kind of told me about some of this a long time ago, but it's been a while, and it's good also to get it on camera for anybody else who's watching doesn't know of Zorn's backstory. And
so this is very dangerous for Zorn, because if he doesn't keep his word and this comes out, this is a very vindictive. Her husband is a very vindictive, powerful man in London and could easily crush him. Easily.
Yeah. Very good. Good to know. And how old is their son?
9 years old.
9 years old. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Just for now. 9 years old as of what year?
1898.
You mean 1888? We started the campaign in 1889.
89, yeah. So he's 9 years old as of the campaign date today,
1891. Well, 1890 would have been when you were in Dartmoor. It was December.
Okay, so he'd be 10 years old now. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1891 going to be, because we're going to go month by month. Your first month of treatment is going to be January of 1891. It would have been probably a pretty awkward Christmas with anybody around the agency. Alice has been institutionalized. Oscar has, I believe, kind of like locked himself away in his own private home and isn't coming out to see anyone. And Zorn, is getting beat up by his ex-girlfriend's brother and being forced to seek psychiatric care, probably at the 33 Golden Square property itself, I would imagine.
Yeah, and that's where Benjamin Hardcastle would be constantly coming there to make sure. And Benjamin would because if Zorn messes it up, the Hardcastle family will take the blunt of it too, because
he's not going to take too kindly to that.
Right, and so he would kill Zorn and keep the secret. Right, that's the type of man he is.
But so as far as Gerard and Reuben go, who would spend some time around the agency, not to mention, of course, Markham and Mrs. Levi, they would all probably see this guy who's coming by now and then to pay visits to Zorn. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Unless he's coming in the middle of the night and just coming in through a window.
No. He's not that type. Again, he's very stiff British, ex-British military. Doesn't like the Irish. He was part of the Black and Tans. So he's that type of guy. He's the special branch type of guy.
Okay. What just for game purposes, what kind of impression, aside from just the physical description of him, would he interact in any way with like Reuben and Gerard and Markham, or would he always meet with Zorn and they go to a private room or something? Would he
He would be respectful unless someone gives him reason not to be. He's, again, especially if they're British citizens, he's very much queen. He's very much for the queen. He is, he has a Union Jack on his underwear. So that's the type of guy he is.
His Union Jack onesie.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems he has with Zorn is that he's a fucking Prussian. So
yeah, he's a foreigner. And Gotcha. Okay, cool, excellent. Just so they can have in their own minds an image of this guy who's coming to visit Zorn regularly to check up on him. Okay, good. Well, you are wealthy enough; you can afford a psychiatric nurse, basically that can kind of basically live in probably the agency. You have enough spare rooms now since Oscar's not staying here. Well, Oscar never really stayed here in the first place. So really, the only spare room that's being taken is the one that Gerard lives in. So yeah, there's plenty of rooms.
And this would be a very embarrassing time for Zorn. All of the level of Prussian aristocratic flair, all of the coldness that sometimes you see him with is gone. You just see this passionate, sometimes screaming at the top of his head, madman sometimes he's in the corner crying because he thinks, his son's going to die, or he has to save Rebecca, and why did he ever do this? And again,
Rebecca is the ex?
Yeah, Rebecca is the ex. Cool. Rebecca Hardcastle.
Nice. Hardcastle, what a great name. Excellent.
So is a nurse good looking?
Well, let us see.
Gerard's 4 years old. So.
She is very good looking. 80 appearance.
Oh. Hello, nurse.
No kidding, right? Yeah, 80 for her appearance. That's a pretty high roll. So let's see.
That's Oscar Bennett hot.
It's too bad Oscar's not around. He would have liked her. But
yeah, probably.
But Oscar's dealing with his own nurse. So for private care, basically at the end of each month, we're going to do a roll to see. I'll just read the results here. So to determine the success of treatment with private and home care, we roll a D100, and a result of 1 to 95 is a success. You get to add 1d3 sanity points for the medications and psychoanalysis that you've undergone, and then you get to make a sanity roll. And after adding the sanity points, make a sanity roll under your new sanity, and if that is successful, you're cured of your insanity. If it is unsuccessful, then you have to go with treatment for another month. If the first die roll before the sanity check, though, is a 96 to 100, in that case, you rebel against taking your drugs or therapy, you lose another D6 sanity points, and no further progress can be made during the next game month. So we skip a month and then go to month 3. Okay?
All right.
It's pretty straightforward. Right. If you're going with institutionalization, there's only a 50-50 chance, basically, of, or at least a 50% chance of having success. But you got 95% chance because you're under private care. So go ahead and give me a D100 roll for the month of January. And this would be leading right up to the end of the month. So
all right.
You started care.
Let's see what happens.
I would have started care just before the new year, maybe.
And the dice say 70, exactly.
Okay, so now you get to add 2 sanity points. What does that bring you up to?
That brings me up to
17 now.
Yeah. Well,
I don't remember how bad off he was.
I was bad, but what I lost was the fact that I lost a lot at a short period of time. So that actually you said 2?
Mm-hmm.
That actually brings me up to 22.
Okay, you have 22 sanity. So now make a sanity roll.
Yeah. 83.
Okay. So you are still suffering from the mania, but you've gained a little bit of fortitude anyway, mind. Your sanity has improved, but you're still suffering from the same mania.
Uh-huh.
We then go on to the month of February, basically from the end of January to the end of February. Give me another D100 roll.
He would probably be up keeping the household staff at night terrors screaming, Rebecca, Rebecca.
Markham is used to it. He's dealt with it before.
18.
Okay, so you get to gain another 2 sanity points. So you're up to 24 now.
Uh-huh.
And make a sanity roll.
Can I add luck?
No.
Yeah, I'm just joking. 57.
57? Okay, again, you're still suffering from the mania by the end of February, but you're up to 24 points of sanity.
Do you even have any luck?
Yeah, I actually do. I have 11 points.
Oh.
I didn't use it.
Wow. So for the month of March, give me another D100.
65.
Okay, so you gain 2 more sanity points in March. And now with your new sanity of 26, give me a sanity roll.
23. Yes.
So by the end of March, you're cured of your mania. And you have your 26 points of sanity now.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Well, he's probably
26 points of sanity. Your
probably
breaking
like
point
minus
your breaking
1
point is still 5, I believe. Yep, it is 5.
He probably got -1 on hit points though from the beatings. He could. I think basically what happens is somehow it gets through to him that he's going to destroy Rebecca. He's going to destroy his son. He's going to destroy Hudson and Brand and his family if he doesn't get his shit together. So that would probably snap him out of it a little bit. Yeah.
Good. Now, does anybody, well, by anybody, I mean, does Gerard or Wilhelm wish to have any somewhat awkward conversations with Wilhelm about who this man is who visits him in the night and quite obviously is a bit bullyish with him, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And he has the physique to do it too. The manner to do it, and and he'll do it while drinking tea. That's the type of guy he is.
You're asking if we want to speak with.
Yeah, just wondering. Once he's treated and the nurses left, and the visits probably proceed. We'll say for most of April. Yeah, just to make sure.
Yeah,
that you're really okay. But by mid to late April, this man finally stops coming and visiting. What did he come every week or every day?
Probably almost anything from every day, depending on how bad he was. Because again, his family, the Hardcastle name and family, depended on Wilhelm not, keeping his mouth shut. So it was very important. And the guy's retired, so he has the time.
Gotcha. Okay. So finally the guy has stopped paying visits. Zorn seems to be feeling better after a few months. You've still heard nothing from Oscar. And nothing from Alice either. In fact, just this month, a for sale sign has gone up on Morrow's bookstore.
So could Gerard have tried to check on Oscar over the course of time?
He certainly could. Yeah. How would he be met by your staff, Oscar, if he were to pay a visit? How long would you give him? So if all the shit went down by December 21st, you probably would have gone through Christmas into the new year. When would you have finally decided to go pay a visit to Oscar?
Oh, I would probably try within 2 or 3 weeks, and then get some kind of news at least from whoever answers the door.
Okay, so sometime in mid-January.
Yeah.
So I'll let you role play that. Merrick, how would your staff? What would their reaction be if Oscar were to come, or not Oscar? Sorry, Gerard were to come, ringing the bell.
They would have been very cold and dismissive. Mr. Bennett is not available.
That would be Clarence who would probably do the response. Yes, Clarence
indeed.
Belgrave. Why don't you describe Clarence Belgrave for us so we know who he's dealing with?
Of course. So Clarence Belgrave he's tall and broad-shouldered and very much of a stony visage. And he is not a welcoming person. Like, you get the idea that when he's looking at you, he's imagining how he can crush you into paste. to basically get you to go away. You're not wanted here. No one is wanted here. Leave is what you see when he looks at you.
How do you respond to that, Gerard?
Should I try a charm on him? A roll charm? I do not fast talk. I have 5 in fast talk, but I do have 78 in charm. So
you're very charming.
Yeah.
Might be able to solve it. What do you think, Merrick? Do you think? I mean, Clarence is pretty well trained too. I suppose it would probably be more of an opposed. I don't know. Since we're dealing with your character here, I'd like to kind of leave it more to role play than to.
Yeah, I mean, with the disposition that Mr. Bennett is in at this moment, there's no way that Clarence is going to let anyone get near him other than his doctor or the nurse, or he doesn't even like the cleaning staff getting anywhere around him. Like, if they have to clean his room, he will move Mr. Bennett to another room and let them do their cleaning and never let them see him.
But not to see him, but just to ask a question, concerning his health and how he's doing, and given my regards, that kind of thing is basically. Well, I was going to start off, the first time I came over there, I didn't expect to see him. I just expected to get a report, not a report, but,
I'll just say, yeah, so Clarence would say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bennett is not available. He is taking no visitors. I will give him your regards. Good day, and then closes the door.
Okay.
Okay.
All very cold. We'll give you that look of like, go away.
Yeah, there's
nice guy.
Nothing I could do to convince him, and without making a ruckus. So,
well, you could try upon if you decide to visit again later, you could try and mention the fact that you did have business with Mr. Bennett. You were supposed to perform, weren't you, at the theater?
Yeah, it's true.
Might be something worth bringing up if you revisit.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'd probably wait at least another 2 weeks before I try to visit again.
Right, you'd wait till maybe early February.
Yes.
And try again. Okay. So a couple weeks later, Clarence, the same man comes again.
Good day.
Hello, sir. I was here. I'm sure you remember me. I shared some time with Mr. Oster, and I was checking on his condition once again. He was considered a friend to me and our compatriots, and we're kind of concerned on how he's doing.
I regret to inform you that Mr. Bennett is still indisposed and is taking no visitors.
Okay. On another note, we had discussed some arrangements for me to be playing at his theater. Is there somebody in charge of his theater right now that I could be speaking to?
All inquiries to the theater should be directed to the director there, Mr. Harold. What would be the name? What's a good name?
Harold's a good name. Just gonna give him a last name.
Harold Vict.
Vict as in V-I-C-T?
Yes, that's good. Harold Vict.
Very well. My name is Gerard Bonham, and if you could just mention my name and let Oscar know that I stopped by, I would like that. I would really like that, and I think he may enjoy to hear that I stopped by to see how he's doing.
Very good, sir. And he closes the door.
Okay. What about with the arrangements at the theater? Would Gerard still be playing shows there in the future? It was something I think you guys just started to discuss before.
He had, yeah. Oscar had been discussing it, but that was the shit hit the fan, and he has really not had the time to discuss anything like that. He's just basically At the most, he's just, the show will go on. There'll be no more magic performances. So the theater is free full time for productions.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on. If there's anything massively terrible to go on, direct it to his barrister, which is Mr. Edwin Brand.
So, do you go to speak to the theater manager, Gerard?
Yeah, I would, over what the attendant there at his house said. I would go ahead and talk to the theater manager and get an answer from him, because I don't know everything that Merrick just described. I don't have.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't have
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well, I don't have any information regarding you, Mr. Bonham. Was it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry. What is it you play?
I play the violin.
The violin. I see. Unfortunately, things have been a little bit chaotic here since Mr. Bennett became unwell, and I'm handling all of the affairs currently. Perhaps you would like to do an audition, and we can see if perhaps we could organize a time for you to come and do a show. If, of course, if the audition goes well enough.
Sure. You just tell me when, and I will be here.
How about we set an appointment for next week on Friday? That's 9 days from now. And if you were to come in at, say, 10 o'clock in the morning, we can see you then.
Yes, that would be fine. Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
I'll leave him a card. I would assume I might have a card with the address that I'm at now.
Do you have a Hudson Brand card?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you're with the agency.
Yes, sir.
So you have done some work. Not just a friend, but you've even worked with Master Bennett.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
good.
very closely, actually.
Very good. Excellent. Well, very well. I will see you next Friday.
Thank you very
And
much.
he keeps your card. And that means when you do go back to do your audition, I will give you a bonus die to represent the fact that now he knows, like, you have basically evidence of your close working relationship with Oscar. Not just, I mean, anybody can stop by and say, yeah, I know Mr. Bennett. I'd like to audition for a show.
Yeah.
But you had, something to back it up. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and give me a performance roll for your violin playing, your whatever the skill is. Probably art violin, right? And you can use a bonus die as well. You should have this, if I recall correctly. You have a really good score in violin.
A 98. And I have a 75 or 78 on my violin.
Did you roll it twice? Did you roll with the bonus die?
No, I didn't.
So you rolled a 98 on your first roll, right?
On my 100, yeah.
So just roll one more d10.
A d10 then.
And that could replace the 9 if it's better.
D10, here we go. And I rolled a 2.
In fact, it couldn't get worse. You rolled a 2. So you actually end up with a 28 with the bonus die. Because what happens is the bonus die, you take the better, for the first digit. So it's at a 98, you get a 28. Which is excellent. So you would definitely.
Your mic has gone a bit soupy.
My mic has gone soupy?
Oh, now it's better again. It was weird.
That's weird.
Like you rubbed your nose and then it went all like Charlie Brown.
So yeah, I should just stop rubbing my nose. I need to trim my mustache. The audition goes really well, and they're happy to book you for a concert. You wouldn't get necessarily like a prime slot at first. Probably start you off on more like a weekday or something,
Yeah.
But if your performances go well, you could end up getting a better slot like a few months down the road or something like that, Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. I'll thank you for his time, and I will arrive at least an hour or 2 hours ahead of time and prepare.
Good. Why don't you go ahead and give me another performance roll? No bonus die this time. This is just a straight roll for your first concert at the what's the name of the theater again? The Leisure to Men, right?
Yep.
Man, look at the memory on this guy. Yet I almost forgot that Wilhelm had a son.
I rolled a 5 this time.
A 0-5?
Yeah.
Nice. So your first performance is amazing. Also, what's your luck?
Give me a second here. My luck is bring up my character sheet, and it is at the top of it, of course.
Yeah, be kind of like in the middle, like usually. I think is it right under hit points?
Yeah. Yes, my luck is 55.
Cool. So you actually have an almost sold out show, which isn't bad for a weekday, and you just blow it. You knock it out of the park, as we would say in the United States. But yeah, you slay it, you kill it, and you get great reviews in the papers and stuff. And the theater is happy to book you again for a weekend slot. Let's see, this would have been happening in probably the beginning of March, so they're happy to book you for a weekend slot before the end of the month, before the end of March. So again, especially with the reviews and the last performance, you get a sold out weekend slot. And give me another roll. See how you do on that one. Your biggest show of your career.
Yeah, I believe this, but I rolled a 5 again.
Wow, brilliant. Yeah. So you become a bit of a violin playing sensation in the city of London before April rolls around. And yeah, you are well on your way to stardom amongst the musical elite in the city of London, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so they're happy to book you again for another show in April at some point.
Okay, sounds good.
And what is your credit rating currently?
It's not very good, unless we didn't write it down when we were going through all that stuff last time. But
I believe you said it was 14. I don't know if you checked it in your sheet, but I remember it being 14 when we finished our little session.
Okay, I have down. Let's see, I just looked at it before we started. It's way down here at the bottom of them. Okay, yeah, the spending level is $2 and the cash is 9. Assets.
No, the credit rating skill is in the skills in your character sheet. It's not technically a skill, but you know what I mean. It's listed with the skills.
All right, sorry, wrong one. Okay, the credit rating is. It was. Looks like it. Oh boy, I'm trying to see. It's either a 13 or an 18. I'm not. Looks like an 18.
Okay. Great. Well, you can add 3 more points to it.
Okay. So there's gonna be. I'm gonna look at it closer, make sure it wasn't a 13 before I add the points.
Well, you can just write a +3 or something for the meantime, and we can upkeep it at the end if you want. You can send it to me on Facebook, and then we can update it properly for you.
Okay.
But yeah, you gain 3 points of credit rating from your performances at the Leisure Domain. I won't make you roll for the show in April. I'll just say you kill it again because you rolled 2 5s in a row. So you had 2 great shows in March. You have another great show in April. So yeah, so that boost in credit rating is to represent your reputation, as well as a bit of extra income coming into you too, because you're getting paid for these shows. So you're far from the pauper that you once were when you first arrived in London.
Yeah, I'll show that family of mine.
Exactly. So it's April, end of April. The psychiatric nurse has left. The thuggish Mr. What was his damn name?
Ben Hardcastle.
Hardcastle. How can I not remember Hardcastle? It's the fucking hardest name ever. Mr. Hardcastle has stopped paying visits. Wilhelm, I don't know if he's coming out of his shell much yet. He's probably, I assume he's probably still a little bit embarrassed about the whole
people. Yeah, people who know him, like the Marcus
like
and Ruben, definitely
Mark.
tell that he's a lot. He has a lot of bravoso about him. Mm-hmm. That's you don't see half of that as much now. There's no these passionate rants. It's just he's a little broken.
Has he been leaving the agency much, leaving the house much, or is he kind of staying in more?
In the times he was under treatment, no, not he's every time he attempts to say I'm going out, it's like, yeah, no, you're not. You're gonna sit there. And then towards the end, he didn't want to go out. He doesn't eat.
Right.
He hasn't eaten strudel in a long time. Yeah.
Really? Even though Mrs. Levi makes it for him?
Yeah. He'll just leave it there, and she's worried about him. And
Markham eats it. I don't know about the others, but Markham
there's a look on his face when he looks out the window across at Alice's bookstore and sees the sign, for sale. Yeah. It almost looks like he's about to cry about that point.
Well, that would be where we're at now. So this is about a month after your nurse has left, right, when the sign goes up on Morrow's books.
Right. He would have asked Marcus, "Have you heard from Oscar lately?" And basically no, and then he would just go back into his depression a little bit again.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mr. Brand Carmichael? What has Ruben been up to for the last few months? He was not crazy, so he did not have to seek psychiatric care, etc.
I think that Ruben's pretty fed up with pretty much everything that's going on, and he doesn't want to leave due to the newfound commitment and responsibility that he's got. So he probably spend a lot of time across the street maintaining the bookstore while she's away. And
what do you mean maintain the bookstore? The bookstore's closed.
Why is it closed?
Well, because she doesn't have any family to run it for her.
That's what he would do. He would run it.
Okay.
If not, then he would be inside there doing research on a daily basis. One way or the other.
I'm just thinking when Alice's solicitor comes around, how will you convince him that you're running the bookstore for her?
Because he would show the books, and he would show the properly maintained books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he would go ahead and go through the solicitor and let her know that he was working with him, and that was her last wishes to keep the store open, and that he'll keep it on the up and up, and he'll submit all the paperwork to whatever accountant he wants to use. And
so it's like becomes a full-time job for Ruben then.
Yeah, basically just
January, February, March, and most of April, until one day you arrive and the locks have been changed and there's a for sale sign on the door.
Fair enough. If he had any favorite books, then he would come back later at night, pick the locks, go in and get them.
Okay, fair enough.
Awesome.
As that was his career before, he's going to get what he wants to get, regardless.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and give us a roll for that lock picking?
Stand by. Would I be able to score an advantage, being that he spent 3 or 4 months there, being familiar with it?
Yeah. I'll give you an advantage on your stealth roll as well, just to make sure that you're not seen by any patrolling bobbies. I think you are in Soho after all. It's a pretty astute neighborhood.
Stand by. All right. So first the stealth. Advantage with the stealth.
Yeah. Bonus die with stealth. Correct.
All right. So that's a 19. I don't even need to look it up.
No problem. Yep. So he manages to do so without being seen by anyone.
I don't know what the lockpick is, but I got a 42. So let me look it up.
Did you use it?
I did not apply. I did not apply advantage. I just did a straight.
You can add a bonus die for that one too.
All right.
I'm sure you're using proper tools.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So it was a 4, and it's still a 42. It was a 7. Okay. So a 42.
What's your locksmith skill?
Lockpick he's got a 60. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yep. You're able to get in there and get whatever preferred books you wish to keep that you don't want to see go with the business if it gets bought.
All right. I don't have anything in mind at the moment, but that's the idea.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's no problem. No problem at all. we can just keep that under our hats till later.
I'd like to talk to Ruben as a character.
He's available there every day.
Okay. When I saw the for sale sign over there, I'm like, of course, I've talked to him about my gig I got now and how well it seemed to be doing, which I'm sure he's aware of. And
He
so
just had his third show recently. Yep.
And I invited him to the concert, whether he showed up or not, I don't know. But that would be something I would do. Because there's nobody else, me and him, really, right now, because Zorn is under the weather. Anyway, I see the for sale sign over there, and I know you have been working there, so I talked to you and see if there may be an interest that me and you could buy the shop and you could run it.
Ruben spent most of his life as an evaluator, an analyst, and I guess what's the right word? An appraiser. He was an appraiser.
Okay.
So he would know if the actual shop had any real value. Or potentially he might.
Good question.
If there was anything really valuable, it's in his hands already. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. The value.
Yeah. It would make a meager living for sure.
No, let it go.
You think it was profitable. I don't think Alice was like rich by any means.
Yeah, then the idea is sound, and there's some sentimentality involved, but as a whole, it's not worth.
I always kind of assumed she lived probably in an apartment above the store. I don't remember if we ever discussed that or not, but it would make sense.
But if neither of us ran the store, I was thinking it would be an outlet for we may be able to find books that we're both interested in on our hobby / basic job we do here. Give us
there is that. What's your credit rating, Ruben?
Credit rating is, survey says, not that good. Remember, he had some significant issues.
Yeah, I'm going to say you two wouldn't be able to afford to buy the building.
The whole reason that he did this is because he was rich, got caught, had to give it all up to get out of his situation, and then just fell into this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I would bring up the fact that if you were around the house, and I assume that Ruben could see Zorn, that Zorn has, how there's always that tension between Zorn and Ruben. Well,
sure.
Zorn, yeah.
What are you talking about? It's crazy talk.
Zorn right now doesn't even look at Ruben in the eye. So if Ruben said, "Hey, why don't you buy that bookstore?" he would probably say, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Just leave me alone. I'm just bringing that up. That's what you would notice at this point in Zorn's thing. So.
Yeah, you might be able to convince Zorn to buy it.
If he was going to take advantage of Zorn, but Ruben would never do that.
Nope. Not for something as silly as that.
Okay.
Now, poisoning his tea to make his therapy go longer, he might do that.
Yeah, sure.
Rough. Just to keep the nurse around?
Hello, nurse.
Okay.
But no, the store was really just a way to stay out of the situation, because there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Sure, to get you out of the house. Fortunately, it was still open during the entirety of Zorn's treatment anyway. So get you out during the day. You'd be there all day. And then, did you go to see Gerard's concert?
I would assume that I would have been invited, and I most assuredly would have.
Okay, cool. What about Zorn? Did Zorn go?
No. I mean, he's staring off into space half the time, so no.
Fair enough.
So,
okay.
Ruben, should we go try to visit Mrs. I'm terrible with names, but
Mrs. Morrow?
Mrs. Morrow?
She's a married woman, and I don't think it'd be appropriate.
She's a widower. But,
there you
or a
go.
widow.
Yeah, that's my point.
If
I never
recall
asked
correctly.
her.
But it doesn't matter anyway because she is not accessible to visitors.
Oh, okay.
She is in a maximum kind of security type setting, basically within the asylum.
So no, we won't be visiting.
Let me.
Oftentimes, because they were such horrible, they're so horrible back in the day. The fact that she is a woman of her age and is still single, they might see that as a symptom of insanity. Let alone the fact that she's talking about freaking monsters and fairies and shit, But
she was married, so
she was married. Yeah.
What I've heard Ruben mention about, or Gerard speaking about buying the bookstore.
Probably not.
Yeah, not if you didn't discuss it in your presence.
Okay, okay.
Ruben, you're not interested at all in it, correct?
No, to be honest, I probably might be interested in the building. Mm-hmm. As a way to watch our shop from across the street, kind of thing. Maybe invest in some curiosities.
So,
but not as a bookstore.
It's essentially downstairs is commercial, upstairs is residential. So
yeah, not as a bookstore.
If you
but
wanted to buy the building, you can buy the building and turn it into something else. But still.
Yeah, I would be interested in buying the building, but not the store.
But anyway, with your credit rating, you can't afford to.
So I'm going to talk to Ruben some more. I said because I'm a young person, and you're older than me, correct, Ruben? I mean, you are
39.
39. Okay, yeah, I'm 24. So would it be ill-advised or inappropriate for me to approach Zorn about buying the store in its condition?
I would say, being somebody that has been up and down the wealth staircase, that if you find yourself in a comfortable position now, I would invest in yourself. Put it in savings, because eventually this is going to dry up or turn in a different direction, and you may not have the opportunity to be as wealthy. So I would probably hold on to it right now and not really pursue anything like this. Just hold on to your funds unless there's something you really, really want, like a Stradivarius or something like that.
Very well. Thank you for your advice.
Okay. So we can roll forward a little bit more time, because I know Joe's got to go real soon. So we'll roll forward. Then the month of May will pass. You might do another couple of shows, Gerard, during May, because it's spring, actually almost summer now, and people are going out more. There'll be more business, more shows happening. So you do a couple of shows in May. Wilhelm and Ruben do their thing for the month of May, and the month of June comes along, and you will finally get some word from or about Oscar, I believe, the 12th of June, yes?
Indeed.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us what happens, how this news is delivered?
So, on the 12th of June, there's a knock at your door at, what's the address here again?
Golden Circle.
33 Golden Square.
33 Golden Square. There's a knock at the door.
Yeah, so Markham will answer. Good. What time of day is it? Morning?
Noonish. Around noon.
Good afternoon. Hudson Brand.
Good afternoon. My name is Clarence Bellagrave, and I bring a message for the proprietors of this agency, Misters Carmichael and Von Zorn.
He kind of narrows his eyes at you and says, "What kind of message?"
It comes from my employer, Mr. Oscar Bennett.
I see. And he's looking at you. You're going to give me a kind of let's call it a psychology roll.
Okay.
What's your psychology?
Oh, I actually got a pretty good one with my line of work. So I get my dice out. All right. I rolled a 29 under 45.
Boom. Oop, that didn't work. Of course, I dropped it in the wrong place. You got it. Okay, cool. So you can tell he's assessing you, and
Mhm.
you get the feeling he's trying to see if you're a threat, to the point where he might even be looking to see if you're armed.
I have a satchel and a wooden case of the size that you would hold maybe a handgun in.
Mm-hmm. He says, "What's in the case?"
I believe it is a pistol given
He's
to
right.
Mr. Bennett from Mr. Van Zorn. And I hand him the box.
I will take this if you don't mind. Please
Of
come in.
course. And I hand him the
And
case.
he'll walk you into the foyer of the Hudson and Brand agency. Which again, oops, I keep hitting the wrong button. Here we go.
What Joe, the guns that you gave out, they would have come in like a wood case, right? With like,
oh yeah. They were
like,
custom made. Custom made,
Right.
very unique. Couldn't miss
they would
it.
have had like a engraving, like engraved
Right.
like plate or something on the top of the box.
The Hudson and Brand engraving right there on the picture there to the left of the Hudson and Brand name. It would have had that on the handle. Yeah.
And that would be on the case as well, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I hand him the case, and that emblem is on the top of it.
Cool. So he'll walk you into the what's it called? The parlor area right there, just to the left of the door once you walk in. And he will fetch Master Van Zorn and Master Carmichael. And I mean, if you're in the building as well, Gerard, I'm sure you are. You can all attend. And he says, present Mr. Clarence Belgrave on behalf of Master Oscar Bennett.
Zorn hasn't shaved in like 3 months. He smells he doesn't look good. Doesn't look like Zorn used to look,
Really? Oh, I don't know what you used to look like anyways. So.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. You would know. Yeah.
And I'll give a little bow.
Good
day to you, gentlemen.
And you see Markham's holding the case, and he'll also kind of set it down.
That's the pistol
Will.
I gave Oscar. What happened?
I have brung a letter from my employer. He has left England.
What? Why?
He says it is all explained in the letter itself. And I open the little leather satchel I brought with me, and I pull out a very heavy paper envelope with a wax seal on the back, and I place it on the table. And it's addressed to Mr. Hold on a second here. I have the actual letter here. Mr. Reuben Grover Brand Carmichael and Herr Wilhelm Van Zorn of Hudson and Brand Detective Agency.
But how? He can't leave. He can't just leave.
And I raise an eyebrow. Mm-hmm.
There's work to be done.
Who's knocking boots?
Oh, sorry. That's sorry. That's me. Hold on.
That's you.
Yeah, it's
Joseph.
That's a washing machine. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, I kind of thought it was probably a washing machine. This is like
your hour is up, by the way.
Yeah, I gotta almost leave.
Yep.
I'm going to wait to the reading of the letter.
Belgrave raises an eyebrow. You can't just leave him.
Let me read the letter.
Are you muted, Merrick?
I read the letter out loud.
Oh, hold on. Where's Merrick is muted? No, I can't.
Shit, I thought I was unmuted. I started reading it. I'm like, okay, here we go. So it says, "My dear friends, my apologies for not meeting with you all in person, for I find myself not in the best condition at the moment. The events of this past winter have taken a toll upon me, the likes I never thought possible. The world I have been so sure of my entire life has proven to be nothing more than the very illusions I have staked my career upon. I regret to say that I find myself unable to reconcile this with my own worldview. Therefore, it is with great regret that I have made a decision to leave England and travel to my home in India, where I hope to put these troubled thoughts of mine in order, with perhaps the hopes of coming to terms with my new reality. The legend domain has been sold, along with the rest of my properties here in London, and my barrister, Mr. Edwin Brand, will be meeting with you shortly regarding... Well, I'll let him be the bearer of that surprise. So once again, my dear friends, farewell. May you continue to bring light to the darkness that threatens us all. As always, your humble servant, Oscar Bennett. And then Belgrave reaches into the satchel and he pulls out 3 envelopes. And he says, he also gave me these to give to Mr. Bonham. And I look around. Oh, yes, Mr. Bonham. And I hand them to you. He says they are letters of introduction. And he said to give them to you with his apologies for not thinking of it sooner.
He's kind of choked up, so it takes him a minute to compose himself, and he takes them and tells him thank you very much, and if you do speak to Oscar, please give him my regards and thanks for being a good friend and for his gift here.
As much as I would love to convey your thoughts to him, I'm afraid Mr. Bennett has already left London. He left last week and said to deliver this letter today. He wanted no one to interfere with his travels, apparently.
I understand. Thank you.
Now, if I might ask a question.
Yes?
I've worked for Mr. Bennett for several years. He was always quite the happy-go-lucky gentleman, if you might not be offended by such a description. When he came back from your trip this past winter, he was but a shell of the man that I once knew. The very cold drove him to keep raging fires in all the fireplaces of his home at all hours of the day. He would wrap himself in layer upon layer of quilts to stave off whatever imagined cold that might be. What could drive a man such as him to such depths?
My friend, you're trying to open doors that best left closed. Once you look into the darkness tends to look back into you.
He seems clearly dissatisfied.
I would say Oscar was a man of curiosity and doubt of things beyond the physical world. And I'm afraid that some of the things he has encountered recently, or was recently, made him question his grounding in the physicality of the world and the logic that he had kept all his life. That's my opinion, of course.
Perhaps he needed more religion. Well, gentlemen, I find that I must go seek new employment, so I guess I will bid you good day.
What is it that you do, sir?
I was Mr. Bennett's valet for many years. Well, for a few years at least. And that is the work that I know best. Perhaps I will be able to find a place soon.
Out of game, what is Markham a valet? Is he considered a valet or a butler?
Markham's a butler. What would be the difference? Let's see.
A valet would be personal, and a butler would be the home.
Right. The valet is like centered on like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
gentlemen.
Fair enough.
The butler takes care of like the entire residence.
Yep. Exactly. Cool. So,
Mr. Belgraves, is it?
Indeed.
I must make a sudden trip to Essex. I have to see a person there. I have things that need to be taken care of while I'm gone. I may be gone for a week or 2. Oscar was a friend of mine's, and I'm sure he would want me to take care of you. Can I hire you? Can I hire your services for a week or two?
Certainly, of course. Mr. Bennett always spoke highly of the proprietors of Hudson and Brand, and I would be honored.
I would extend that you may have a room here as long as you like, as you seek the most appropriate next position for yourself. And if you do indeed just want to take a break and consider this a bit of a vacation and respite, then you're available. You're available.
He clearly seems a little shocked, and as stony as he tries to keep his face, he's clearly kind of shocked and embarrassed. I shall definitely take that into consideration. There are a few things I have left to finish closing off his home here.
And we do know a lot of people.
Well, good.
Very good chance we can make some introductions.
Yeah, well, one of the things you could do for me is make arrangements for travel to Essex tonight for me.
Of course, sir. And how would you wish to travel?
As quickly as possible, preferably by train. In a bit of advice, my old man. Don't open doors that you're not prepared to see what's inside.
You know what's interesting? Hold on, this is out of character. I want to make sure that was right. Where in Essex are you going?
Well, out of character, he's going to see Hardcastle. And he's going to have words because I got to leave right now. And then he'll be back he'll be back within there.
So say Norwich?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Because that's where his sister's at. Norwich. Oh yes, I know.
It's pronounced Norick.
Norick? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce it really. Norick.
Norick or Norwich, but yeah, it's more of a hard sound, I think.
All right. Yes, Norwich. I have traveled there many times. Yes. I shall have that prepared immediately.
Yes, and send for a barber.
Of course.
And with that, guys, I gotta go.
All right, Joe.
All right. See you next
in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks.
Let us see.
I may have another thought for you. Is perhaps we could employ you as a valet for the business. We deal with the royalty in various stages, and we have to deal with customers who are a little higher up in the food chain, and most of us are not well versed in the etiquette and so forth. So if that's a consideration, rather than being a valet for an individual, you could be a valet for our company, be a corporate valet, and act as a mediator or intermediator between these individuals that we deal with.
Seeing to their comfort.
Exactly. So when they're away from home, you would be their valet of opportunity.
I see. That sounds rather intriguing.
You would get to meet a lot of different clientele, be a lot of traveling involved, and certainly perhaps you had not considered it, but there may be some opportunity for adventure.
Indeed, I would, Markham steps forward and says, I would only ask that you leave all of the opening of doors within this building to myself when I am available.
Of course.
And he kind of like looks at the reinforced door. I think you guys had a metal door put in, right?
Correct.
He looks at the reinforced door kind of and just smiles wryly, remembering the time that didn't he get he got shot one time, right? Yeah.
He got beat up by a werewolf.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He got attacked by the jackal thing, jackal-headed thing. That's right. What was it called?
And shrugged it off.
The Child of Osiris. That's right. He had the shotgun. Yeah. Anyway, just a matter of agency security, if you will.
Of course.
I raise up my glass to Ruben and say, once again, Ruben, you've come up with a grand idea.
I think it would take some of the pressure off of us because we at least I tend to get a little tongue-tied when we're having to deal with some of these higher caste folk.
Well,
Shall I get the brandy, sir?
Brandy.
Very well. Brandy and 5 glasses.
One for
No,
yourself, Mark.
Four glasses. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 glasses. 5 glasses. Okay, one for himself. 5. Very well, sir.
And one for yourself, Markham.
That would be the 5th glass, sir.
Very good. It's been a long day.
Cool. Let's take a quick bio break.
Very good.
Use the restroom. We'll pick back up in a minute.
Home again, jiggity jig.
Well, we're building up a pretty good agency here now.
Indeed. A valet was most appropriate.
Yeah, that was actually the original character I was going to make, was the valet, and he's been sitting in my back burner for a long time. Then I thought up the magician, and he just didn't play the way I wanted him to.
I like the magician.
I liked him, but I didn't like playing him.
Yeah, to me, it would seem. I mean, I liked his character, and I think he did well on it. I just would think it would be difficult because he's such a doubting Thomas on everything that he can't
Right.
really get in there.
That was the thing, because
Houdini was the same way. Houdini hated people that rip people off like that.
And I kind of try to base it off of that a little bit without all the escapism, but going around and debunking and all of that stuff. But he just...
There's only so much.
I couldn't
deny. You know, being a doubter like that, you see all these things. How can you deny them? You know, constantly.
Right. He got through, what, 2 investigations? Being able to doubt it all? But once you see a friggin' demon tree rip its way out of the ground and try to eat your face off, well, that kind of just throws your entire worldview into shit. So, yeah. I just couldn't figure out how I was going to keep playing him after he had his entire world crushed like that.
Yeah.
So, and...
I could. You know what I would do with him? I would have him become a cultist. Like the personality behind the cult, and actually he would be like the perfect cult leader because he could generate apprentices and create a magic school and make
really high charisma and
all on the up and up. But in fact, he's actually recruiting for those that he can bend to his will.
Maybe he'll do that in India.
Mm-hmm.
Future story hook.
Right?
Bad things are happening in India. Turns out Oscar Bennett is now a cult leader and trying to raise the old gods.
Probably more appropriate is that we know somebody in India. There's rumors of a cult. We should get with him and have him show us the way around, and maybe he can give us some insights. And then he ends up being the cult leader.
Right. That would be appropriate.
He'd be like, hey, you want to do some real magic? Go along the lines of, damn it, what was that Clive Barker movie about the magician that realized it was real magic and he was trying to get away from it?
Oh, the Prestidigitators?
No. This was a horror movie. This was Clive Barker.
Clive Barker.
Didn't it star the guy that played in Quantum Leap?
I know what you're talking about.
And he starred in what? I'm sorry?
Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was, I can't think of the name of it though.
Lord of Illusions.
Lord of Illusions.
Yes.
Lord of Illusions.
Yep.
Yeah. Lord of Illusions. Right. Good movie. Very, very Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Modern Call of Cthulhu.
Definitely.
Yeah. The main magician in the story was trying to get away from Nyx. Nyx was the main bad guy. The Nyx had actually found real blood magic. And then the guy that was with him was like, oh, hell no, I got to get away from this. And he actually turned on Nyx, and he's the one that got him all chopped up and had the nails stuck in him and all that.
Interesting.
So he was making a living just as a regular magician, but in fact, he did know magic, and he knew that magic was real.
Okay.
But he didn't want to deal with it.
Magic's not real.
Just because you live a disillusioned life.
Oh, good pun.
Zing.
Like it. All right. Sorry about the delay, but I have returned. Now, just because we did, of course, have to deal with the insanities for a couple of characters there, but just because your characters didn't go insane, speaking specifically for Ruben and Gerard, doesn't mean that you can't also seek to improve your sanity during time off.
He honestly was 1 point from getting an insanity. I mean, he was very close. Because
what you can do during downtime to recoup sanity, you can pursue psychotherapy, of course. once per month. Or you can go for self-help, which means you choose to spend time with actually, let me change this hammer too. This is not Markham having this conversation with you. This would be me. There we go. Oh, Markham again. He's everywhere. Get out of here. There we go. So what that means is you choose to spend time with one of the entries listed on your character's backstory, right? That portion of your character sheet, which can act as a form of psychological support. Okay. So now this doesn't include phobias, manias, wounds, or anything to do with the Cthulhu mythos. It's just simply for your sanity points, right? So you would go, and if you want to do that, you just go into some detail about what you're going to do to seek any healing or redemption, something thematically appropriate to your backstory, like going on a religious retreat or a holiday with a loved one, etc., something like that. Then we make a sanity roll. We're encouraged to role play the scene to the point where it comes to a head, make the sanity roll, role playing the outcome. If it's successful, you could gain 1d6 sanity points. If it's unsuccessful, you lose 1 sanity point. And we revise that aspect of your backstory in some way to explain.
Ruben could spend some time with his good friend and confidant Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, is he on your backstory?
He is now.
He is now. Good.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
I have to look up where Sherlock Holmes is in June of 1891. He might be dead.
To be honest, I think that Ruben is just going to suck it up and deal with what he did. He basically did that already. He isolated himself, and
that's fair enough. I just wanted to bring it up just in case, because I didn't know where you guys were on the sanity scale, and if you wanted to try to just to use some of your time off before the next scenario, just to beef that up a little bit. That's fair enough.
I don't have anybody on my backstory that is alive in Europe. It would be people I met in America, and that's too far away to go. So,
wow, that is depressing.
Yeah. Well, his grandmother, I'm assuming, is dead. Some of his teachers of the violin and the musicians he was acquainted with when he was young are probably dead by now. And
fair enough.
As a young man or a older teenager, basically, to go to America and travel around. So,
fair enough.
Yeah, but I would like to. I was going to ask you, should I practice my shooting and things like that during this time?
Absolutely. If you wanted to try to do that, with the amount of time off, I'd say you could definitely get a chance to improve it.
Mainly the pistol that Zorn had given him, the Hudson Brand pistol. Yeah.
It is a shame,
like a normal.
That you reach out for comfort and realize that the only person there is Zorn.
That's your partner you're talking about.
Luna, cut it out. Yeah. Stop it, stupid. Stop doing that. Sorry. Yeah, so go ahead and make a pistol roll. Your combat fighting roll for the pistol. Gerard.
Okay, I rolled a 75, and now I'll find out what my pistol is.
I'm sure that's a failure.
Yeah, my pistol's low, so because I have the weapons. That's not the right one. I need to go up here to my firearms.
That's definitely got a failure.
Firearms. Yeah, he only has a 20 in handguns.
Okay, so go ahead and roll a d10.
D10, and I rolled a 4.
Okay, you can add 4 points to your pistol. Your pistol improves by 4 percentage points.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Excellent. Okay. So, all that said, of course, by mid-June, the bookstore, Mara's bookstore, and the building has sold. In fact, it sold probably in May, and it's been undergoing renovation. The Morrow's Books sign has been torn down. The inventory has all been cleared out, and it has been undergoing internal renovation. You presume it is not going to be a bookstore anymore. It is, in fact, let me see if I can find a name. What are you eating, John?
What?
What are you crunching so loudly into your microphone?
I'm not crunching anything. I'm just sitting here.
Okay. Well, something. You're doing something. I don't know what it is. So I thought you were chewing on something.
Nope. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. Oh yes, what I'm looking for is going to be in here. I want to.
My cat walked by. I guess he might have knocked something.
Yeah, maybe. Don't know. Doesn't matter. It stopped. That's all that's important. Here's what I'm looking for. What page? Begging your pardon. One moment. Here's what we're looking for. Dramatis persona. I believe I had some information here somewhere I was looking for. Damn. Okay. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Okay. Anyway.
It's
so yeah,
Aleister Crowley, right?
Morrow's Books is being changed into an apothecary. No, not an apothecary. Sorry, I wasn't going to do apothecary. I'm going to change it. It's going to be an importing company, Far East Imports.
Oh God. Upon hearing that, he's going to put all efforts to see that it's not the Hegel company. Hegel using a front.
What kind of efforts?
Whatever contacts he can, both nefarious and mundane. Starting with the police.
What would you say to the police?
With our confidant, I just moved. My notes aren't in hand. Sergeant.
Yeah. What was his name? Parlow.
I think it was Parlow. Or was Parlow the captain? Whatever contact he's got. That it's very coincidental that we had issue. We being the good people of London with this Hegel company, and they left, and all of a sudden one opens up across from us, and that there may be something more to it. If he could research it, he'll do more on his end, and then he'll go through his real estate contacts, and then his underworld contacts. In particular, I don't know if I want to deal with that guy again. What was his name? No.
Yes. Dummy. What was his full name? No Nonsense Namdak was his nickname.
Right.
Yeah, or also sometimes called No.
I don't have anything to offer him at this time. What could I give that would be appropriate? I don't have a head or anything.
Yeah, you're fresh out of Shrunken Chocho sorcerer heads.
Yeah, I am. How about, did I find any books that might have been of interest to this little freak sandwich? Maybe one of the smaller tomes might have some interest.
What's your luck?
Currently, my luck is, survey says, a 57.
You're in luck. The one of the main books that you stole from Morrow's bookstore before it closed up just happens to be one such thing. It's unfortunate because you would have liked to kept it for yourself, like to have kept it for yourself.
How big is the book?
I don't know why.
If it's small enough, then he could get a couple of guys together and have them copy it.
No, it's too big for that, and it's in foreign tongue. It needs to be translated.
Fuck. Well, I tell you what. Oh, is it a big book?
It's a decent sized book. I guess if you're going to make me figure it out, I will look it up. Let me see how.
I was going to say, if it's small enough that I could keep it under wraps, then I might use it as a backup ploy rather than as the initial.
Let's see here. You dummy, will you stop it, weirdo? Here's what I'm looking for.
Sorry.
Sorry over what? Oh, I was talking to the cat, not you, Merrick. Right. So Chinese, I said, right? Yeah, the book is in Chinese. Sorry, it takes a moment for me to look through all of these different tomes and books that I have listed here. Ooh. No, that's not going to be good. That's not a book. That won't work. This could work. Interesting. It is not a book. It is 7 books. Sorry, 7 scrolls. 7 scrolls.
Good. And they're in Chinese, you say?
They are indeed.
Are there any legitimate Chinese? Not in the world. I meant in London at this time that I would know. I don't want to deal with somebody that already has contacts with
no Namdek.
Yeah.
Or no nonsense Namdek.
I'm just going to take one of the scrolls at random. I'm going to say number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use that as, this is the only one I found. I'm on the hunt for more.
You want to arrange a meeting with Mr. Namdek? I think his name is Yu Ying. Namdek Yu Ying.
Right. So the whole idea here is that I'm trying to treat him with respect and honor the idea of gift giving, and not ever coming to the table without something.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if it's something like terribly useful, the whole idea is that you bring the gift wrapped in white rice paper, and it's just the idea of it rather than so much the usefulness of it. I mean, because he is a thug, but at the moment, trying to develop a working relationship, I guess.
That looks good.
So I'll go through the process as I did before. I'll go to the tea house and.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it takes some time. Takes you better part of a morning to get a meeting with him in the afternoon.
Sure.
And you can get a meeting with him in the same place as before, the opium den underneath Mr. Fing's Imports from the Orient.
Of course.
kind of a similar name to the place across the street for you. The place across from you is called Far East Import. Was it? Or Far East Traders? I think I called Far East Imports. Yeah. Should mark that down in the notes. I don't have my notes. What am I doing? No, it's over there. I'll get it later. Far East Imports. Remember that. That's the name of the new shop that's opening up across the street.
Fair enough.
So, Mr. No Nonsense Namdak, you want to meet. Now, I have an image for him here as well.
Is it appropriate to call him No? I mean, is it...
You would probably refer to him. How would you want to refer to him in some form of respect? Probably Mr. Yu Ying.
He does speak. He does have a smattering of Tibetan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's something that's just a general.
Yeah, I think Mr. Yu Ying would be appropriate.
Mr. Yu Ying. Fair enough.
I don't think it would be appropriate to call him No.
No, I wouldn't try it. I would rather not call him anything than call him No.
Yeah, if you wanted to try to be on a first name basis with him, his first name is Namdak.
No, I wouldn't assume that.
But he might take offense to that.
Yeah, no.
So he'll meet you down there. He still has a couple of his bodyguards with him. Only 2 this time, though. I think he had 4 last time.
Yes, because they beat up the other guy.
Yeah, that was poor Gerard.
Mm-hmm.
That was a long time ago. Probably doesn't even remember it. Well,
Gerard, I'm sure he remembers it. Mr. Yu Ying, yes, Mr. Yu Ying, thank you for seeing me. This is for you. I thought you might find it interesting. Wrapped in the white rice paper.
He takes it and looks at it. Where did you get this?
I found it in an old shop, a bookshop that was shutting down. And I had gone through and tried to find things of note hidden in the dust. And this was one of them. This is
extremely valuable. Very rare.
Well, good. I'm glad that it has some use for you. It does not have as much for me other than just the curiosity of it. But I'm always happy to share.
This scroll is 17 centuries old.
That is amazing. I appreciate your candor. You could have easily just kept that information to yourself, but
unfortunately, it's not worth very much without its 6 sister scrolls.
6 more, you say?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I suspect the chances are that they may be here in London. I will definitely keep my eyes open. If you're in the sharing mood, what would be the subject of the scrolls?
They discuss elements of the, shall we call it, supernatural in the Middle Kingdom.
Very curious. I have a deep admiration and interest in the occult myself.
As do I.
Well,
what do you want in return for this scroll?
Well, I brought it as a token of our working relationship. I don't assume anything more than that. A gift.
Oh, well, I humbly accept. Thank you very much. Have a good day, Mr. Carmichael.
Very good.
He gets up to start to leave.
Out of curiosity.
And he raises a hand, one finger pointing up the air. There it is. What would that be, Mr. Carmichael? He turns and smiles at you.
I am very interested in a business that has just opened up directly in the shadow of my own. A very curious place to open such a place. And
Far East Imports.
Far East Imports. I am curious if this is something that you are connected with, or maybe it's a competitor, or in the worst case situation, which is my main goal, if it is in fact the Hegelland setting up some sort of spy.
Well, unfortunately, it is a competition to the very shop above us. Mr. Fing is very disappointed. I don't know the details of the owners yet, but it is something I would be interested in finding out.
Well, as they are directly across from me, I have many small birds in the area. I will definitely
Indeed.
keep
I
my
believe
eyes
that
open.
property belonged to a compatriot of yours, yes?
Did at one point.
I understand that she has become a ward of the state.
That was my understanding as well. But
Shame.
she is in a non-communicado situation. We no longer have any contact at all.
I understand. What happened to her, if you don't mind me asking?
I do believe there was some story of her seeing he looks over his shoulder, a monster.
What kind of monster?
Something in the lines of a walking tree, I believe it was. A giant walking tree with the legs of an elephant.
Ah. She was very unfortunate to have encountered one such as this. I suppose she is lucky to be alive.
I suppose there is a measure of luck in her situation, as well as a measure of bad luck.
And tell me, did this have anything to do with your former friends at Heligoland? I ask because I know such creatures are known to be servants to the dark forces, the dark deity, if you will, that they served. And he watches your face closely to see if that's any kind of a revelation to you or if it's something you already knew.
He was a sneaky sort of guy himself, so he would play it up.
Give me
we were investigating a rather mundane situation, and it became something a little more. And as far as the hows and whys of such a creature, I don't have the details of that.
I see.
Surely I would offer it would be no harm at all to offer that information to you. I just don't have it. It wasn't there, and then it was there, and as you say, we were lucky to escape with our lives.
Well, be careful out there, Mr. Carmichael. Monsters are very real, as I'm sure you know.
That is becoming more and more evident.
If I learn anything about this Far East imports, I'll have someone contact you.
Please do. And if I see anything nefarious or productive that you can pass along to your friend upstairs, or if I find any more of these scrolls, I will.
I would be very interested in the companion scrolls. There should be 6 more of them.
I will keep
Perhaps
my eyes
you should
open.
visit the shop again where you found it. Talk to the owner. Perhaps he knows.
The shop has been transferred over. All of the books were taken out of it, and I had some time to dig through the books before it was closed, cherry picking the interesting ones.
That is unfortunate. Well, if you can contact the former proprietor, find out. Maybe he knows who bought the scrolls. They would be worth tracking down. If I even had simply a name or a location, I could arrange the legwork.
I see. So there's a significant value, or is this sentimental at some point?
Mr. Carmichael, he smiles. Have I given you the impression that I am a sentimental kind of individual?
I think we all long for homeland when we are away from the same. I was thinking something along those lines.
No, I assure you, Mr. Carmichael, London is very much my home now.
Very good. Well, I will keep my eyes and ears open.
Very well. And he'll turn to leave.
Well, he'll let him leave, and then he'll leave.
Yeah, and bodyguards will go up behind him. Yeah. Okay.
Well, now it gets sticky because you got to hide those damn scrolls.
You have a safe.
Yeah, well, he never told anybody about them, so nobody knows. Yeah, I'm thinking something other than the mundane things, maybe a loose floorboard or that sort of thing, because everyone would assume that he'd put it in the safe.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't put all 6 of them together.
Also, when you return, Markham will want to speak to you specifically, and he will say, I wanted to talk to you about bringing on this young man, Mr. Belgrave.
Yes, Markham.
I think it is a very good idea. I am not getting any younger, as you know. And I fear the years before my retirement comes are getting shorter and shorter.
I had actually considered that, but I didn't want to insult you, and I didn't want to mention it out loud until we could speak privately.
I have no intention of leaving anytime immediately or anytime imminently, but I just wanted to let you know that I was not offended in any way by you bringing him on the team. I would look forward to working with him around the house in future during downtime as well, to show him the day-to-day affairs in case he should be interested in the position when I do decide to go home.
That would be most welcome, and know that that time is completely up to you at any given moment that you would like to have your retirement. Know that it's there.
Of course.
Yes, please vet the man out and see if he is worthy.
Mm-hmm. Very well. And then, anything else that anybody wants to take care of for the months, the remainder of June, July, into August, basically the next couple of months?
He's gonna. Ruben would probably want to reinforce the birds. See what we can do about strengthening the bonds on the streets.
Mm-hmm. As I recall, I think the bonds were already pretty strong anyway.
They were, but I'm thinking about elevating them a little bit. Maybe I had talked about getting them to school.
That's going to take money.
Right?
Yeah. Or extreme political favor, I suppose.
Or we could just find a tutor, a private teacher, perhaps somebody that's either older or young that could use the position. Teach the boys a couple times a week. Maybe use one of the rooms at the mansion there.
Yeah. At the mansion, you mean at the
at the Hudson Brand, at the house, right?
So let's see here. Looking at the rooms you do have, there are 3 guest rooms. One of which is occupied by Gerard, another which is now occupied by Mr. Belgrave. So you have one remaining spare bedroom. I'm just looking if you have any rooms there that you could use as a classroom. maybe if you were to do some conversion in the workshop, which was formerly the shooting range.
How about a small shop in the immediate area? Bring on a private tutor and let them teach out of there, and as part of the deal, they teach our boys as well. Now that I would hit up Zorn or one of the other money bags for, because that actually has some value towards the company.
Right. So you'd be looking at renting a building.
Long-term lease, or a buy.
There's also that thing I mentioned in the chat to you that the lawyer has.
Oh yes, of course. When is he going to visit? Good call.
Anytime.
How soon after?
I would say like within 2 weeks of that time.
Okay, so while Zorn is still out of town on business in Kent, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot about it. Yeah, let's do that. So Ruben and Gerard and of course Clarence and Markham would be the only people probably at the agency at the time.
Now I did look at property down at the piers before. Remember, we actually did when we were doing some nefarious stuff. I did
your investigation. Yeah,
right. I was looking at some smaller properties. So a small shop, maybe like
yeah, that was in the Lambeth area, if I recall correctly. It was down around where the Helegoland stuff was, right?
Right, and yeah, I'm just trying to get something more localized to where the boys might be. Like an old closed abbey or something like that. Something small that has some purpose. Ooh, speaking of such, we might be able to get like a Franciscan or something like that. Put some religion in these boys. Make it a little bit more publicly acceptable, you know?
Right.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay. Something to think about. But in the meantime, you are going to have a visit from Oscar Bennett's solicitor before the month of June is out.
Very good.
Now, what was the name of the solicitor? Did you give the name for that, Merrick? I think you mentioned it.
Yes, it is Edwin Columbrand.
Edwin Columbrand. Okay. And I want to pull up my information here.
That's definitely all made up. I did look that name up to see if it was a real name, but it sounds...
Edwin Columbrand, yeah?
Yeah, sounds good.
Mm-hmm. I just want to look at here. Cash, assets, blah, 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 blah. Now, you had said that... what was Bennett's credit rating again at the end?
It was 72.
At the end, I should say at the end.
Right?
72. Okay.
Yeah, he was filthy rich.
And how much was he going to want to...
See, that I wasn't sure about, considering, because that's why I didn't put
like, let's talk about like a percentage even, I mean, of his wealth.
Right.
I can tell you exactly, he would have... Hold on a second here. He would have 7,200 pounds in assets.
Got it. Okay.
Now, I know he sold the theater and all that stuff. So that's probably like left over after all the overhead and everything else, you know?
Right. If he were to liquidate everything.
Now, I'm trying to think if I have any comparisons as to what 7,200 pounds really is in that time period. It's presumably a lot of freaking money anyway. Let's see. I can do a quick Google search. Property costs Victorian London. Just take a look. 1850 to 1900.
Did you say 7,000?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay. That's interesting. So I'm seeing, really? Is that right?
In today's money, you're looking at 7,000 pounds would be $180,000.
7,200 pounds is $180,000.
Yeah. So what? 200,000.
That's with inflation. I mean, of course, obviously.
Oh, that doesn't seem like that much, though.
But if you think about it, I'm looking at a thing right here. You could build a cottage. Granted, that's in 1905. That's even later. You could build a cottage for 150 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a lot.
Right.
I'm also seeing a thing here. Here was a house in 1910 that was sold for 600 pounds. This isn't London prices, but necessarily this is English prices. But and there was another thing here where I saw they built a town hall. The town hall is a pretty serious building. In essentially like a region around London, they built a town hall for 2,000 pounds. So that's a pretty good amount of money.
Okay, then.
Now the question is, how much of his assets would he want to leave them?
Let's say 15%. Which is a pretty good chunk.
Yeah. So you leave them 1,080 pounds.
100 pounds got you 1,000 acres in 1880 in England.
So let's make it 1,200 pounds.
1,200 pounds. That and what would he? What would it say as far as it being left? I'm sorry. What was the detail specifically? Was it left as like a donation to the agency?
It was, so it was given as a donation to the agency to continue their good works.
There you go. So Mr. Edwin Cornbrand? Columbrand will come to the agency there before the end of June.
Cormorant.
Columbrand. And say, this sum of 1,200 pounds is to be left to the proprietors of the Hudson Brand agency in order to continue their good work as a thank you from their friend and former colleague, Master Oscar Bennett, currently of Mumbai or wherever he's moved to.
Right.
Very good, sir. Let me sign for that. I expect you have paperwork.
Yes, of course they will. And you being Reuben Carmichael Brand, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you can definitely sign for that. The other person that could sign for it would have been Willem von Zorn, but he is out on business. So you can sign for it, and it will be transferred and taken care of into your agency. I'm sure you have an account for the agency. You'd have to, right, for taking care of bills and stuff like that. So voila. So you're 1,200 pounds richer.
Perfect.
Which I would say would easily be enough money to I think there should be enough money to purchase now it's not going to be a flash building, not going to be a massive building, but it'd be a decent, like a warehouse type thing or whatever.
Of course not.
In the Lambeth area.
And I mean, is that a good area as far as like where the boys were?
What do you mean good area? They did a lot of work there. It's not a good area. It's a bad area.
I'm looking to make it easy for them to get in and out of school.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's, if you look at a map of London. In fact, I do have, what scenario was that part of? Where we had a cool map of London that showed different neighborhoods. I think it was in Night of the Jackals, perhaps.
It was the zombie ones with the warehouse.
No. I'm talking about a specific map.
Oh, I got you.
That I had. Let me double check here. It might be Night of the Jackals. It showed Unless I'm remembering incorrectly. Maybe it's in the Burnt Man, actually. The Burnt Man, is there a map of London here? Oh, no, it's the wrong scenario, not Burnt Man. And Night of the Jackals is what I'm thinking of. That was the one with, yeah, you know, the mummy and all that. Night of the Jackals. Looking for London map. Here we go. Yep, this I think is the one.
He went to Madras.
Madras. Okay. Yeah. So there you can see. Here's a map of London in the period. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you look at that map there, you can see. You see Soho up there by the British Museum and National Gallery. Yeah.
Indeed.
So that's kind of where your agency is located. You can see Lambeth is on the other side of the river. You can even see like Lambeth Palace is downriver from like the Houses of Parliament, etc.
Sure.
Across from like Westminster Abbey, across the river. So yeah, that kind of area along the river there.
Very good.
It's a good central location. Not a great neighborhood, but that's why you're able to afford a building and, you know, in the city.
Okay. Well, we'll just see what kind of building it is. If it's something that we could put some berthing in, so that if circumstances come upon it and the boy needs somewhere to sleep, they can. Maybe we could even bring. I'm gonna check on the situation that the one older boy and his mother, if they're in dire straits or they live in shit. I was thinking perhaps moving her in to be the matron of the house and let them have a step up, make them an apartment, and that way have a central location, and then the boy would always be there.
Sure.
As a thought, because I think we discussed it before, and she lived comfortably, but you know,
it was Albie.
Definitely poor. Yeah, Albie. Exactly.
Yeah, they lived in kind of a cheap, you know, not quite a tenement, but yeah, they didn't live in a great area.
Well, I will offer
and
it to her.
It wasn't far from that neighborhood either. Really, it's not far from where they currently live.
Yeah, I will definitely offer it to her if that's something she's interested in. Trying to uplift these boys, maybe give them some mothering, professional mothering for the ones that don't have it. Get them out of the street. Bring in a teacher. And if she's interested, then we'll provide an apartment and a budget, provide them some meals and so forth. If she's interested.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't see why she wouldn't be a step up for her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Give her a bit of title.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, moving up in the world.
Is already kind of the head of the Little Birds anyway.
Yep, that was the whole point. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And then the idea that if he ever got to the age that was appropriate, we'd actually get him, into the military or into a school, and then make a future agent out of him. Make him into a character.
Cool. Yeah, when he gets older.
Yeah.
By that time, I'd say Ruben and Zorn, if they're not totally insane, they'd be dead anyway.
Oh, yeah. I think Zorn will be dead here sooner than later.
So you're starting your own junior cult there? I wasn't paying attention because I was busy. But...
No. We just got the little birds. We're just trying to improve the relationship with the birds on the street so that they realize it's not just for pennies. They're actually trying to help them out, paying it forward.
Schooling. You might learn how to read and stuff like that.
Right?
I was joking. I kind of heard what you guys were talking about. But I like to give it to him sometimes.
Yes, your young boy cult.
Hey, you might actually find some real talent hidden in there. Show them some violin, and one of them might actually be an adept for it, something along those lines. Yeah,
good idea.
You never know.
He could tutor, go in there and teach music.
Sure. Play something for him, see if anybody catches on to it or whatever. Now, as far as the other thought, that was to bring in bring in somebody like bring in some notoriety. You know, we already have a name, but it's not really a great name. I was thinking somebody more Franciscan because they're less politics with the Franciscans. You know, they're more of the pious and poverty types, you know. So they wouldn't necessarily want money, but having a Franciscan on board would be a feather in the cap and have the church in the pocket sort of thing. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Maybe it would end up being some kind of gateway into getting some secrets of the church that we might need sometime also.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe something along those lines, or maybe it was just one of those things where, you know, we run into a cop who's not interested in the occult stuff, but who's very religious and takes note of that and says what we're doing, or, you know, somebody in the press or somebody higher up in the ethics ladder just takes note of it. And we're not just a group chasing off weird stuff. We actually are trying to improve the people and the situations.
Well, perhaps Gerard may be able to do a fundraiser, a concert, to draw attention. Maybe we get ready.
Sure, yeah, maybe do something for the church itself rather than fun. Because we got some money, but maybe put something on for the church.
British socialites do love their charities.
Exactly, and then maybe it would be one of those things where we could catch a Franciscan in transition, or somebody else. It doesn't have to be a Franciscan. I don't mean to keep saying that. It could be anybody, but somebody that's in transition. Maybe they got back from a mission, or they're recouping from an illness, or they're older, or they're very young. Somebody along those lines. Not their best or their brightest, but definitely somebody that can make a difference.
So what's the name of this place that you're setting up?
Holy crap, I don't know. The Hudson Brand House for Boys.
Hudson Brand House for Boys.
That's a terrible name. Yeah,
sounds awful.
Yeah, I know it's absolutely terrible. But
yeah, never mind.
How about what was the name of that? What was the area they're going to again?
Lambeth.
How about the
Lambeth is it's in Victorian England. It's a pretty rough area.
Right.
Where a lot of the Asian immigrants would live. It's the closest thing to a. Well, it will eventually. There will eventually be a Chinatown in that area, if I recall correctly. In about another 7 years or so. I think it was around 1898 that it was kind of established as such. But I don't know. I could be pulling that up. I'm kind of pulling that out of my corner of my memory. I could be way off.
Maybe something along the lines of Lambeth Charity House for Boys or something like that.
Yeah.
Still sounds slightly pervy, but
yeah, that's not my intent at all.
It doesn't sound pervy.
It's just because I live in the modern world, or if you did see a place like that, you'd be very suspicious of.
Right.
Rather than house for boys, school.
The church, a charity house for young boys, huh? Yeah.
The Lambert School for Wayward Youth.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Now you're talking.
All right. See, yeah, good. Something along those lines.
How big is the Asian population in that area, you said, right now?
It would be pretty big, yeah.
Maybe you ought to talk to your friend.
At this period of time, even 1890s London is over 6 million people. Is the biggest city in the world, I think, at that time.
That is a nice thought, but I suspect, especially back then, that they keep to their own. They wouldn't have any interest in sending their.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Also, I don't think you want to try and connect a criminal.
No, exactly. No.
That wasn't what I was getting at. I was getting at that maybe to find out what the pulse of the community would be, having that in their midst, since it's a particularly strong Asian culture around there, they may cause problems.
I suspect. Yeah, no, it's a good thought. I suspect as long as we're not doing anything to them, it's just a charity house. They're not taking any business away from anybody.
Besides, I mean, it's not like
we're not.
there are other people operating in Illegal Land Trading Company was a German.
Yeah, exactly. So we're
Yeah.
not hurting anybody, and we're not threatening them in any way. So I suspect it's.
Sure, that explains what I was asking.
Yeah, no, it was a good thought though.
No problem. Okay. Now, you will receive a message. A courier will bring to the Hudson Brand Agency in August. I'll figure out an exact date later. But on a particular day in August, is a request to attend. 1 second. Get the fucking name again. Where's his name? Here we go. To attend Colonel Nicholas Hollingsworth at his home, the Hampstead Heath, Kandahar House, as soon as possible. A business opportunity for your agency, as well as a favor for my family. Now, you remember Colonel Nicholas Hollingsworth? He was your client for the Night of the Jackals case.
Right. Is our corporate
Which
valet
is still your biggest, your most, your highest profile case.
Sure, yeah, successful. Is our corporate valet back yet?
I would assume so. Oh, did Merrick step away?
No, I'm here.
No, I meant physically. Is Zorn still abusing him, or is he back?
I don't. Zorn didn't take him with him. Zorn had him taking care of things.
I was under the impression Zorn was going to make him he wanted to make him his personal little.
I wasn't sure about that either.
I got the impression that Zorn was asserting his "I'm an aristocrat and you're a peon" sort of thing.
Maybe, but he definitely didn't ask him to come with him to Kent. Anyway, this is months later. This is 2 months later. So
fantastic, perfect opportunity.
So technically, Zorn should be here as well, but Joe's not here. So we'll say that Zorn is doing some weird business. He spends a lot of time off doing his own thing ever since Dartmoor.
Fair enough.
Maybe he's off drinking himself into a stupor at one of his fancy rich man's clubs. I don't know, but either way.
Has Markham already begun the process of vetting the young man?
Oh,
yeah, I would say so.
I would have spent a lot of time darning because I can do some tailoring. I can cook, so I do some of that. When what's her name, Mrs.
Levi.
Mrs. Levi is in
She'll teach you also her her subpar recipe for strudel,
and I can make it just as subpar.
Mm-hmm. Clarence, you are going to make someone a fine wife.
This is the way Master Von Zorn likes it, you know.
Oh, yikes!
He loves his strudel. And interestingly enough, Markham will spend some time taking you out to the shooting range, teaching you how to fire a shotgun.
Hey, I can fire a pistol.
He will say, pistol's great, but you should learn how to use a shotgun.
Okay. I do have some training in that, actually. I have 35. I moved some skills around. I split it. I had 55 handgun at first, but I swapped some of those points over to rifle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but you might at one point asking like, what, but why does a butler need to know how to fire a shotgun?
Of course.
But he would say, oh, well, times get very interesting at the Hudson Brand Agency from time to time.
I see. Well then, if you think it is a skill I should be familiar with, then I will learn the skill.
Okay, well, we
as
will.
Inquiry agents, the young masters tend to occasionally rub some very difficult people the wrong way.
I understand.
Kind of people who don't like people inquiring into their business.
The type of people that I assume a stern look will not dissuade.
Indeed.
So, Clarence, if the title fits, I'm thinking that you may fit into representing the Hudson and Brand house when we are away from the house, as it were. So Markham will be taking care of the house proper, and you will be taking care of us and our clients on the road. Is that
That is
seem
agreeable.
manageable at this time?
Indeed, sir. That is quite agreeable.
All right. Well, then we'll give him some quick background on the colonel, the situation he may have read about, and
Definitely.
everything.
Oscar was involved in that anyway.
Yeah, I would definitely know more about that.
Take everything with a grain of salt. There are things that you don't know of, that we don't know of, that we may know of in the end. So you got to take it as it comes. I can't prepare you in any other way.
Rest assured that your secrets are my secrets. It is not for others to know unless I am told otherwise.
Very good, sir. All right, so let's go meet with the colonel.
Very well. And I will. Does Hudson Brand have its own carriage?
We have it.
We have one on retainer.
Right, on retainer.
Okay, so then they don't need me to drive then. Although I can.
You know what? When we got that money, I definitely would have spread some of that around. All those folks that we have.
Well, you're looking to open a school. I don't know how much you would have to spend.
No. I don't mean a lot. I meant a couple pounds here and there.
Yeah, okay.
Without any particular service. Like when I see the carriageman, make sure to tip him a couple pounds. Or better still,
his name was Stafford, I want to say.
That's right.
I would say probably I'll one up it and use the same amount of funds to put together gift baskets with, a ham, some fresh bread, some cheeses, and that sort of stuff, and have it delivered in appreciation for your efforts and future association, and send that off to our various peoples.
That's very kind of you.
And then we'll make sure to give one to. I'm going to give one to the boy to give to his mother, so that it can be I'm sure he doesn't get to give her very much.
Man, how good is my memory? His name is Albert Stafford.
Albert, yeah. So we'll ingratiate him just a little bit more. Let him give a gift to his mother,
and have a sneak an extra bottle of brandy in with it.
Gin.
Right?
Gin.
Gin.
Yeah. Brandy's too good for street urchins. Just gin. Hey, they're not working in the factory, so they got something going for them.
That's true.
Hey, we could probably save some from the factories. You know what? We should probably start hitting the orphanages, like when you go looking for that right kind of puppy. Maybe we can grab a couple more and include them into our little organization. Maybe
would you be interested in perhaps attending to Mr. Hollingsworth in the
colonel?
Yeah,
absolutely. No, yeah.
Okay.
This is conversation in the carriage.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, I said we had gathered up our valet and we're on our way.
Good. Just checking it out. Might be getting a little sidetracked is all, but fair enough. Discussion for the future plans.
Would I be armed?
Going out to Hampstead Heath?
Yes.
Visit the colonel?
You'd make a terrible butler without any arms.
Entirely up to you. I think.
Let's say no.
It depends on how paranoid you are. If you're paranoid,
I would say a gentleman butler would always have like a derringer or something like that. When you think like a
woody,
like a small pistol,
a knife, and a derringer. Well, yeah. Especially after being taught to use a shotgun, because things can get a little squirrely.
True. This is the middle of the day. You're taking a carriage out to Hampstead Heath to visit a rich former client.
I'll say no. Not at this time. Yeah. If we're leaving the city, then yes.
No, I guarantee you, if Zorn was here, he would be armed. But
of course.
He doesn't go to the toilet without bringing a weapon with him.
Probably has one hidden in the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so out to see Mr. Hollingsworth. Mr. Hollingsworth. I am on the wrong application. This is the application. Do I still have Mr. Hollingsworth's picture?
Now, I know how the situation pretty much ended with them, but did it end well, is what I'm thinking, because he lost some property, and he didn't die, so...
he lost some personal property, but... the mummy and stuff.
Yeah, he lost his mummy.
It was a fire.
That's really about it. You saved his family.
And the person who robbed him the worst way is no longer in England.
True. Fair enough.
Was that Oscar?
Oh yeah, him and
Did
Oscar.
Oscar clash with him?
Oh yes,
Okay.
Oscar basically called him an asshole to his face
Oh, right. Yeah, fair enough.
because he was in this whole "I don't like people who abuse their authority" mode.
Right. So when you arrive at the home, in fact, oh yeah, let me pull that up too. Actually, just move that aside a little bit there.
I will be the first to go and knock on the door.
Kandahar House, the Kandahar Estate. Boom, boom. There's the old Kandahar House. It's as lovely as ever. It's all any damage that had been done has been repaired, and probably even improved since then. His butler, who you may remember as a bit of an asshole, Fordyce, will answer the door, and seeing you, will smile. Make a sanity check. No, just kidding. And say, Master Carmichael. Mr.
Yes, sir.
The Colonel, or sorry, what would you call him? Master Hollingsworth told me to expect you. Please come in.
And my associates as well, please. Gentlemen.
Indeed. Do you have, what do they call calling cards?
I'll hand him the calling card.
Okay, cool. And I know Gerard has one because he gave one away earlier to someone else. So,
yep, I'll hand them both over.
So he'll take you to the parlor. If I recall correctly, I think there was a parlor here. Let's see here. I actually still have the map of Kandahar House as well. Waiting for it to open. Yeah, there's a parlor just to. So you go through the nice hall, and just on the left-hand side, there's a parlor there. So he'll take you in there, and then he will go and summon Master Hollingsworth. And Hollingsworth will arrive just a couple minutes later. It will be announced, of course, by the butler. And also, so will his wife, Ramona. And, of course, the Fordyce, the butler, will introduce Masters Reuben Carmichael, Master Gerard Bonham, and Master Clarence Belgrave. So once all the introductions, formal stuff is out of the way, Hollingsworth will come forward and offer you his hand, Reuben. Give you a good, strong, firm shake.
Definitely, he will reposition and give the strong shake back.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't offer the handshake to Gerard or Clarence, seeing them as kind of being beneath him. But he'll say, "Thank you very much for coming. I believe we, he says, looking at his wife, may have a case for you."
Well, of course, sir. We are at your service in any way we can be.
My wife, Ramona, received a telegram recently on behalf of an old school friend. And he, at this point, will say, "Please, Ramona, show them what you received." Now, let me find it here. Richie stuff.
It's a bloody finger.
No, it's a bloody finger. They're all smiling and happy and meeting in the parlor. Whoa.
Oh, look at the digits on that. How exquisite.
So this is going to be a happy adventure. Gotcha.
Hand out one. It says, "Yes, I received this from the wife of an old school friend of mine. Request your attendance at Forby House, Granton's Bridge, Middlesex. Stop. Infantile brain fever relapse could be fatal without your aid. Stop. Please come. Stop. Mrs. Harold Forby."
As distressing as the telegram is there some sort of medical association, or is this a monetary position that you can offer assistance in?
Well, I had responded to Mrs. Forby to get more information, and she sent me a letter giving me more details. Her husband, Harold, is an old classmate of mine from my youth. We were classmates from the time we were very, very young. He was a bit of a. Let's see, where's the information just in regards to him? It was a bit of a bluff bully, you could say, but he was always very kind to me. I remember when we were very young, he contracted a brain fever at his father's funeral and was given an entire term off of school. At the time, we school kids kind of joked about it being a spot of luck for the man. However, it seems that his illness has persisted and continued on through his life. In the letter, Gertrude, is the name of Mrs. Forby, made mention that Harold had fallen ill again recently and been on the verge of a full relapse of the brain fever that had struck him in his youth. She said that he has become obsessed with finding the family treasure that he believes his father had hidden on the family grounds at what was the name of the place? At the Forby house in Granton's Bridge. She believes that finding this family treasure may be what the impetus to heal her husband of this fever, which could even threaten his very life.
Very well.
Unfortunately, I can't leave Hampstead Heath to go to Middlesex and assist in such a venture. My duties are here with my family and my husband. And she looks at her husband, and the colonel says, "Yes, we have discussed going together to assist the Forbys. However, this kind of task, this kind of job is, well, it's not exactly in my wheelhouse, you understand."
Of course, sir.
That's what I thought of you. You're an inquiry agency, investigation, detective work, these sort of things. This is your wheelhouse, exactly.
Indeed. We're happy to take the case.
Excellent. Very good. You would be doing my wife a great service in taking some ease off of her conscience regarding the assistance provided to her old friend.
Well, we'll do our best.
I would be happy to pay your retainer fee for the time that you are away assisting the Forbys.
Of course, sir.
And of course, any expenses that you may incur with travel and the like.
Indeed. Payment is definitely not the first of my thought. I'm already deep into the process of gathering information. We should leave immediately.
Yes. Excellent. Very good. And of course, there's no need to be demure with me, Mr. Carmichael. I know money makes the world go round, and anybody who is good at something should never do it for free.
That was not my intent. I just wanted you to know that we provide services, and while we do look for compensation, the primary is the service. If we can provide the service, that has value in itself. Anyway, the address, sir, and we will be on our way.
Very good.
Rest assured, Mr. Carmichael, I shall keep a tight accounting of our trip.
Indeed, we have upped our game, sir, and we have tried to add a little culture to our organization.
Oh, well, it's excellent. It's good to see you, prospering and advancing in such a way.
And he'll note to the lady, and we have, if you have not heard, we've started a school for boys. We're trying to get them off the street, giving them a bit of education, perhaps get some in the military.
Charity work. Well, it won't be too long before you'll be a member of the gentry to rival myself, Master Carmichael, I'm sure.
You jest with me, but I accept it nonetheless. Shall we? Your address, please.
He smiles and claps you on the shoulder and says, "Please give my regards to your colleague, Mr. Von Zorn."
Of course. Thank you, sir. Colonel, we'll gather the address and be on our way.
Yeah.
You said it was early in the day?
This would have been, by the time you get all this out of the way, it's probably late morning, approaching the midday. There'll be some things you'll need to iron out before you can depart. Anyway, I imagine you probably won't be departing until the next day for Middlesex.
Gotcha.
You'll have to round up Von Zorn and etc. as well.
Sure.
But yeah,
Clarence, the game is afoot. Let's see how your skills play out, my friend.
Of course, sir. I shall do my best.
And so now that I have introduced like the very first paragraph of the actual scenario, I think that's where we'll call it for the night. I know the title might have been a little misleading since we only got to the very introduction of the adventure at the end. But
no, it was good.
And
with
Joseph having to leave, I thought it was better to leave it in such a way. So thank you for playing. I'll end the recording now, and then in 2 weeks' time, we will pick up with part 2, and we'll get into the actual meat of the masterwork of Nicholas Forby investigation.
Very good.
Awesome.